Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Max Warframe. Today we're going to be taking a look at a weapon that's actually no longer obtainable except through trade. The semi-automatic rifle, the Latron Prime. Now this has been one of my most requested weapons for a while now, so I finally decided to get around to doing the review. Now I want to say a massive happy Easter to all of you from the sunny beach a few minutes from where I live. All the prep work for this video was actually done taking advantage of a beautiful day outside, pretty much exactly where the picture on the screen is right now, so hopefully things are a little more laid back today. So the Latron Prime, well, it's the oldest of the Prime weapons in the game, not including the Founder's weapons, and was introduced with Frost Prime and the Reaper Prime. So what do you get for your money, and how does this aging weapon stand up in the modern game? Well, you get a fantastic 85 damage a shot, with the majority 68 coming in the form of puncture, and the remaining 17 split equally between impact and slash, making this one of the hardest hitting single shot weapons in the game, not including the snipers and the very hard hitting Grinlock. So the Latron Prime is off to a pretty good start, and it only gets better from there. The crit chance on the weapon is only 15%, however it comes with an above average 250% multiplier, meaning that when the weapon does crit, it hits like an absolute truck, especially when modded correctly. Not only does it have that great crit damage, it also has a pretty decent 25% status chance, meaning that status builds are also viable as well. The Latron Prime is also extremely ammo efficient due to that semi-auto rate of fire, meaning that you're never ever going to run out of ammo with this. However, the Latron Prime doesn't have it all its own way, and no weapon will be complete without a couple of downsides. At 2.4 seconds and a magazine size of just 15, it can feel a lot like you're spending an awful lot of time reloading in missions. And when you're being rushed by a whole bunch of enemies, that 15 shots really does not feel like it goes far, and the reload feels like that it takes forever, so having a decent secondary for those moments is definitely recommended. The weapon itself also has a pretty slow rate of fire of just 4.2 rounds a second, which can feel a little clunky in those situations where you actually need to take down a lot of enemies pretty quickly. However, since the Latron Prime is pinpoint accurate and does have a reasonable amount of recoil, it actually allows the weapon to be able to pull off those accurate headshots after headshots, since you're not tempted to pull the trigger again before the weapon's actually ready to fire. The main downside to this weapon, however, is the fact that for the time being it's been moved to the Prime Vault, and cannot be obtained in any other way other than trading currently, unless you had the weapon already. Okay, so let's move on to starting to mod the Latron Prime. Now it does come with a V and a dash as standard, however we're going to add another 4 former to it, which is going to add another 3 Vs and a dash. So we've got the majority of mods that are going to remain the same between all 3 of our builds. We've got Serration Split Chamber, we've got Heavy Caliber, Point Strike for crit chance, Vital Sense to boost that crit damage up to an amazing 5.5, and we've got Piercing Caliber to boost the puncture damage of the weapon. Now, the only thing that changes between the 3 builds are the elementals. Now, since we're really focusing on the heavier units, we're going to go with Radiation for the Grineer, which is Stormbringer and Hellfire. For the Corpus, we're going to go Cryorant and Stormbringer to bring up Magnetic. And for the Void, we're going to go with Stormbringer and Infected Clip. Now, if you're running the Corrosive Projection build, you can change that out for Cryorounds for Viral. Now, Heavy Caliber is one of those mods that is kind of debatable. At lower levels, it's probably better if you switch that out for a Shred mod, which helps boost not only the fire rate of the weapon, but also it adds the puncture as well, the punch through on the weapon, which is going to help deal with many units very, very quickly. And even up to a decently high level, this can be useful as well. Now, the accuracy loss from Heavy Caliber I don't really notice, so it's definitely worth having on there. Now, the one question I'm going to be asked is, why don't I use Hammer Shot? Because it is going to boost the crit damage up to 7 times if I use it. And the reason why is because the crit chance is only 37.5%, which means it's only going to crit roughly 1 in 3. So I would rather have the Piercing Caliber on there, rather than the hammer shot, because if I don't crit, I want to do as much damage as possible, rather than focusing very heavily on that 1 in 3 shot. 5.5 times is a very hefty number to start with. However, 1 in 3, it's definitely worth boosting that physical damage to make sure that even if you don't crit, you are actually going to kill the enemy. So on to my thoughts, and is it worth the time, effort and resources to max it? And the answer to that is absolutely yes it is. The Latron Prime hits like an absolute truck when it crits, and handles itself pretty reasonably even when it doesn't. It's one of those weapons that, although it's not projectile, and its hit scan, still requires a lot of skill to be able to use well. Accuracy with it is absolutely key, and with it being so accurate, pulling off headshot after headshot is an incredible boost to the damage output. Not only that, it sounds amazing, looks amazing, and is a ton of fun to use, and it's been one that's had much love from me over the years. The Latron Prime seriously plays more like a sniper rifle than that of a standard rifle, and should definitely be paired with a decent secondary weapon for those close range engagements where reloading is likely to get you killed before you complete the reload. The funny thing about the weapon is that it shows the development of Warframe in a nutshell. For the longest time, it was the best weapon in the game, but eventually it was eclipsed by all the new weapons coming out, before eventually becoming that annoying weapon that you got a million parts of instead of what you actually needed in the void, laying forgotten in most players' arsenals. Now I know some of you are going to be wondering why I went full elemental and not take advantage of the decent status chance. Well, the reason for that is purely because we're going to be losing 2 mod slots to mod for that insane crit damage. And because the crit is only going to happen roughly 1 in 3 shots, I really need the shots that do not crit to do as much damage as physically possible, which that means I prefer to go for the full elemental mods rather than the dual stats. The dual stat mods are an option if you wish to use the Latron Prime as more of a status based weapon, and that is going to save you a couple of former. However, I prefer the max damage and feel that that is definitely the way to go. So in effect, the Latron Prime has great damage, amazing crit damage and insane accuracy at the cost of fire rate. Once the top weapon in the game, now just a bit part player, still deserving of a place in any mission. The Latron Prime is real proof to the old saying that you'll only miss it once it's gone. Now I just want to say a quick couple of things. I have a couple of shoutouts to do. Firstly, to one man, without whose help I would not be here talking to you this week after my hardware failure making a mess of my schedule last week. I also want to give a huge shout out to the Yar Gaming guys, Ricky, Viltsu, Blaze, Dennis and Conroy, for all of the help given, whether being supportive right from the start of my channel or constantly giving technical support. You guys are awesome, thank you very much. In addition to that, we're coming up on 3,000 subs, which is an insane achievement, and a huge thank you to all of you guys, my subs, for that. I'd love to see your suggestions in the comments as to what I should do for my 3K special, so feel free to leave a comment. Every single comment is read, and most get replied to, and I'll take the best suggestions and make it into my 3,000 sub video. As always guys, a huge thanks for the support. Please remember to leave a like and subscribe, it helps me out a ton, and I shall see you in the next episode.